Looking to transform your family game nights? At Perfectly Picked Games, we specialize in family games that bring everyone closer. Our games aren't just fun. Kids and teens will learn how to take turns, develop basic strategy skills, and understand the thrill of winning and grace of losing. With our exclusive gift of games, you can give months of gaming excitement to your family. Choose a 3-month or 6-month gift, and we'll deliver hand-picked family games to your doorstep every month. And here's the best part. Right now, you can use the promo code GOLDENMOJO and receive 20% off your selected plan. Don't miss out on this exclusive offer. Use promo code GOLDENMOJO and save 20% today at Perfectly Picked Games.
Hi, fellas. How we doing tonight?
Great.
Great.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Good. You guys are just gonna have to sit there and listen to me for a little bit as we get started. I know I've taken a bit of a hiatus from the intros, but I felt like I just needed to come back on and set straight the elderly men that are the Golden 80s podcast, who grew up during the heyday of baseball in its somewhat most purity of the sport. Let me tell you something about Pete Rose, okay? I don't think he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, okay? Just doesn't. Unfortunately, he took a child's game and he did grown-up things during it. Shame on you, brother. Shame. Anyway, hey, just, going to clean up some notes here for the elderly 80s men. Joe DiMaggio, I was screaming it, fueled the DeLorean myself. He has 56 consecutive games. That's the record, 56. Your boy Rose came the closest, I think. I think he's actually second or third on the list. I didn't look. I just know I knew DiMaggio was number one. Next thing we got, Emperor. It was Ken Griffey Sr. that played in the Big Red Machine. Okay? Senior. Not junior, senior. That's okay. I can see how you can get them mixed up. It's the same name. Another side note. I'm going to go out and say it now. Pete Rose, compiler. A huge stat compiler. He only got the hit record because he played for 26 G-dang years practically. Okay, and he has 1,600 more at-bats than number 2. 1,600. That's a lot of at-bats. A lot. And there's 3 guys who played who had more years than him. Didn't even come close to him. He's a stat compiler is what he is. That's why he's the hit king. Stat compiler. What do you do? When you got the most at-bats, you better have the most hits. Pretty simple there. The guy was a betting degenerate, okay? A degenerate. His worst beat ever, he was gambling on horse racing in Cincinnati, a place called Latonia, and his horse was in first, and a deer jumped across the track and nailed the horse that he bet on and destroyed him. He obviously lost his bet, but that was his worst bet. Like his worst bad beat was that. The dude just could not stop gambling. Okay. Dude had a problem. Next thing first. I could tell. Here's another first. Emperor, I can tell you don't know much about the old sports betting world, but if you want to bet opposite of somebody, it's called fading your bet. You want people to fade your bets if you're that bad of a gambler. So then that way they make money off of you. So use that out in the workplace. You might impress a few folks, Emperor. You're welcome. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got for you boys. You guys keep doing your darndest, doing your best work. Here over at the Call Guys podcast, you know what we're just going to do? We're just going to get down to it. Okay. So for those about to rock, we salute you. Let's do this.
I absolutely love Miley Cyrus.
Give me some sugar.
Say hello.
I see you coming down. The
What's
aisle.
up there, call
Break
boys?
me in the mouth. Yes.
You have failed.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Call Guys podcast. I'm Gunnar, also known as Chico Noise, two-time podcast host, and alongside me, as always, it's Juan all along, and our special guest for this episode, it's Nicholas Scratch Nordman. How's it going, guys?
Howdy.
Scratch.
Scratch.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And if Colton missed the reference right off the get.
I did. Too
Uh,
focused on my food. I'm sorry.
Did Nick get the reference? I'm sure he did.
I'm going to pretend I did.
Oh, wow.
If I really thought about it, I probably would.
And he gave up the magic.
Apparently, my reference doesn't work. No, how's it going, guys?
It's a Thursday. When's this episode get released?
On Monday.
It's a Monday.
It is. It's a Monday. Listeners, it's a Monday. Sort of.
That's
Thursday, Monday.
fantastic.
It's podcast time for you. It's just how
You are giving us gold, Nicholas.
I am just here to provide what the people want. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want. And I heard that there was an outcry to have more of me on the show. And, here I am to answer that call. Whether I just made that call up, that remains to be seen.
No, we get emails all the time. Where's Nick? Why hasn't Nick been back? It's constant.
Absolutely, I'm sure.
I'm glad you've answered the call of Gondor.
When Gondor calls for aid, you answer.
How many?
Thank you.
Yeah, Nick just shows. He shows.
I do what I can, fellas. I do what
Yeah.
I can. I've got opinions about the things that you guys are talking about. I don't always have opinions, but when I do, I have opinions. We'll call them facts. They're facts. What I say is right.
Yeah, we die on
That's
hills.
exactly how you should think.
Exactly how you think.
You and Colton have switched brains, or you share a brain.
I would prefer not to.
Yeah, Colton and I are polar opposites.
Not all the time.
No, not all the time. All right, Nick.
He's still over here just munching on his rice. How
I
much
know.
rice you got in that bowl, man?
It was a
It's
full
almost
bowl. It's almost
done,
gone.
okay?
It's almost gone. He's eating. Colton, it's either watching basketball or eating while he's on the podcast.
There's
One time I'm pretty sure.
tonight.
I know, but one time I'm pretty sure I watched you eat a whole DiGiorno pizza.
That is true.
Yeah, stuffed crust. Pretty sure.
And
I don't know. I don't know what it was, but Nick, it's been a while.
It's been a minute.
What you been watching?
What have I been watching? I've watched a lot of what this show's about. I've watched it twice. After the first time, I went back and I watched WandaVision again.
Nice.
And then I watched Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. And then I went Agatha all along for the second time around. I hit a lot of scary movies in October. That was pretty great.
Of course.
Nothing Colton would have watched, obviously. I didn't watch Hubie Halloween. Sorry, Colton. It's not my thing.
I'm proud of
did
you.
you really celebrate Halloween?
I was flying to DC on Halloween, so no, I didn't actually celebrate Halloween. Thank you for checking, though.
Was there anybody on the plane dressed up?
There was not.
Oh.
Wait, no. I was flying to a wedding, not DC. Wedding.
Okay.
And no, there was still nobody on the plane dressed up.
Lame.
It's too bad.
Nick, this is going to sound like a lot of those video games that we play, but we're choosing violence against each other right now, and I don't think we need that right now. We don't need those vibes.
It's just part of our friendship, though,
Kind of feels that way.
that nothing was started and we're just gonna pick a fight anyway.
Right out of thin air. Fight.
Colton,
Yes.
yeah, Gunnar, you really should be in some of our Xbox parties when we're playing zombies.
I was literally just thinking that, like, it's been a long time. I should just sit in on a party and just just to
No.
listen, not even to play, just to listen.
Nothing is ever said to start anything.
Yeah.
It's just all of a sudden, Nicky had a lot of downs last game. What was up with that? And like we're in the middle of like Easter egg run. We need to be focused, and all of a sudden it's just, hey, we're gonna pick. We're gonna start fights. And then we usually have somebody else in the party. Like Chris will be in the party. Not the normal Chris from Star Wars, but like a different Chris.
Yeah, yeah. I know that. I know
But
that.
Chris will be in the party. And he's just like chilling in the background of this conversation as Colton and I are just going at each other. And then like mid fight, we're like, hey, by the way, did you get the UFO out of the arcade yet? We need to make sure we got the UFO there done and grab the element from there. Yeah, you got it. Okay, cool. But that's why you went down all the time and I had to res you. And like it's just hot takes for like a solid 10 minutes. And then one of us will say, we don't need this right now. We're trying to do something.
Yeah.
And then Chris is just chilling over here, just listening to it.
I would love to know what he's thinking half the time when we go.
He's laughing at you.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it out loud on the podcast because I don't want to inflate Colton's ego.
Yeah, please don't.
But, yeah, we won't. We'll keep that quiet.
Yeah.
We're not gonna tell him.
It's already inflated.
I have never once in my life lacked confidence. Some people call it cockiness. Some people call it confidence. I will be honest and call you that I am confidently cocky.
Yeah. Colton Keel.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
You do you.
Mhm. Yeah, you do you.
Hey,
Oh,
Gunnar,
what's up?
did you finish Only Murders yet?
No. Hey, listen. The wives are going out.
Yes,
Saturday
they
morning.
are. Oh,
I am going to finish it Saturday morning while they are out.
well, you got the kid, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is Sophia going?
Nope. She'll be here with me. She can watch it with me. Be all right.
She's old enough.
Yeah. She'll comprehend the whole thing, and next thing I know, she'll be running around talking like freaking Martin Short.
She'll be here on the pod to talk about it.
Yeah.
That would be hysterical.
Oh gosh. No, please no.
I don't know what I'd do if William just started acting like him. Shut
Just
up.
kooky and loud and obnoxious.
What do I do with you?
Yeah. But no,
Oh, sure, it's funny.
I have not finished it.
Okay.
But yeah, the plan is to finish it. This past
I do have
Saturday.
news. I do have news.
You got news.
I have finished the Lord of the Rings extended version. It's finished.
Nice.
This
Wow.
isn't the first time, right? Like,
Well, kinda.
The
what does
extended
kind of
versions?
mean?
Well, I started it a while ago, and then
Oh,
I took a break, and then I restarted it. So I went all the way through it.
but you've never watched all the extended versions.
No, I've
before.
watched the extended.
Oh, okay. So it's not the first time.
I don't think I've ever watched them. This might be the first time. No. This is the first time I've watched the extended since reading the books or listening to the books.
Okay. Gotcha.
What's
So
your
the
favorite
movies-
extended scene?
I think it's anytime Gimli and Legolas get more screen time. Because in the extended versions, they get so much more screen time than in the originals. And I'm like, why did we cut that story out? I just felt like their relationship seemed so much more genuine and made more sense in the extended version than it does in the originals.
Hmm.
So
I think I need to go back and rewatch them again.
What about you, Nick? Do you have something?
There's some good ones. There are some really good ones. I would agree with you that I think the relationship is a little bit better defined because like there's some moments where like it's a little bit more like intimate. It's like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
well, I could actually see a real friendship forming here, which I think is pretty cool. But I think my favorite is from The Fellowship, and it's when is it even an extended? See, it's been so long since I've seen the theatrical versions. When Gandalf stands up, they're at the conference or like they're all meeting for the first time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Gandalf stands up and says the black speech.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in the theatrical versions? I don't
I don't think so.
think it is. Um, that's one of my favorite. I think that's one of my favorite extended scenes,
Hmm.
just because like I think it adds like a whole air of darkness to like what the actual mission is, just by like speaking the words. It just gets heavy.
Hmm.
I think that's a pretty good scene.
I also think that Boromir isn't as big of a dick in the extended versions as he's portrayed in the Fellowship.
You get more of his struggle. I think you kind of get a
Yeah,
little bit more of how he
and that's just
struggles.
it. Like you get more of because the only thing you get in the theatrical of Boromir is that he's just a representative and he wants the ring and you don't really see. Then you see all of a sudden he picks it up as after they're walking. He's like, "Here, take it," and you're like, "Okay, what's his?" It just seems like his moods are different, and you don't know why.
Well, there's a lot more flashback for him. So like you
Mhm.
see him and
Oh
how
yeah.
like his dad just projects all of that on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of see how Faramir like fares with that as
Oh yeah.
well as the second son. So like yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think the extended version does a really good job of fleshing out a lot of scenes. I think another good one is Aragorn
Aragorn.
when Aragorn is on the throne in the third movie and he's holding the Palantir and then he
Mm-hmm.
drops it when he's talking to Sauron. You get like so much of a conversation
Mm-hmm.
and then you understand why he drops his necklace and it shatters.
Yep.
But in the theatrical, you don't see that ever. And so like they play it up in the dream, which I forget what movie it's in, but like there's the dream he has where the necklace shatters and it wakes him up, and then they never like come back on it. But in the extended edition, you actually see the actual scene that the dream is referencing, which I think
Yeah.
is really cool. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, when you've got like a 3.5, 4 hour movie, you got to cut it down. You're gonna lose some of that.
Says who?
But now people, that's all people want. Like you said, when's the last time you watched the theatrical? It's because when you watch them, you just want to watch the extendeds because you just get more and you feel better and just the story's better.
So yeah, now I need to start. Now I'm going to start The Hobbit. And you know what I've really had a bit hankering for?
Harry Potter.
Twilight.
Oh,
Don't ask me why. Twilight.
go for
No.
it.
Oh no.
Real
I don't know
vampires
what it
right
is
there.
about those movies, but
I did a whole report in high school in speech class about vampires and why the Twilight version of vampires is not a real portrayal of vampires. And I got an A.
of course you did.
So
I've talked about this a couple times on here, Nick. I don't know if you've said this before, but I've been listening to this audio series called My Vampire System. I think you'd really enjoy it. It's good. It's like 2000 something episodes. They're only like 8 to 10 minutes,
jeez.
but man, it's been worth every minute. I'm like 1200 episodes in.
Dang,
Yeah,
it's commitment.
yeah. But it's fun. It's different. Since I know you like vampires so much. If you get a chance.
Well written vampires.
I think this is a little bit more on the like the vampires are kind of the subplot Like the main character is a vampire, human turned vampire,
Hmm.
but like everything else is there's a lot of other things going on, war, but it's fun. That's what I spend most of my time doing, is listening to that anymore until I'm done with it. And maybe I'll go back and listen to it again. I don't know. All right. Well,
Nice.
before we hop into anything, what's going on, guys? We kind of skipped that part. Anything exciting going on
I'm going to an IU football game this weekend.
in Bloomington?
No, in Columbus at Ohio State.
Oh,
Number 2 versus number 5.
nice.
Pretty excited. Not excited for the weather. Hopefully the weather doesn't suck. It's not looking good it's not looking good. Um, but going with my dad should be a good time.
Yeah.
Should be a good time. Outside of that, I can't really think much. The wife's wanting to do Christmas lights soon,
Mm-hmm.
just to get them up and done, which I'm okay with because
There's
who knows how
supposed,
many we don't have. It's like this is like one of those weird times where we really don't like have any like projected nice days left here.
we got snow projected next week, so you better do it
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yeah, that's literally the plan.
Nick, do you remember snow?
I swam in an outdoor pool today.
Tell me
Yeah.
more about your struggle.
It was 72.
I hope you
Dang.
swallowed pool water.
No, I'm an athlete, Colin. I don't swallow pool water. Colin, real quick, is a swimmer an athlete? Yes or no? No explanations, yes or no?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, swimming. So
That
you
takes
gotta be more
coordination.
athletic to swim than really to do a whole lot of anything else. That's a, it's
Swimming's
that's
like an ultimate like burner, like body burner. You use every part of your body.
You know, you have a hot take on what qualifies as an athlete, so I was
And
just
here
curious.
we are, Nick. We are back at it with you just wanting to throw sticks and stones. If we want to throw sticks and stones, Nick, we could throw sticks and stones.
this is Nick's
Throw
like
sticks
that
and
guy.
stones, Colin. I'm not scared.
It's
I am
this is
worried
your
about a
relation.
I am worried about a time constraint on this podcast, and we've already spent 10 minutes talking about Lord of the Rings.
This is your relationship. You guys' relationship. Colton's riding a bike. Nick standing off to the side has a stick and shoves it into the spoke just to see what happens to Colton.
Yeah. I mean,
Whereas I will just throw the baseball right at his head as he drives by.
now we'll be standing 3 feet from each other and he'll just chuck it. Why didn't you catch that, Nick? It was right there. Catch it with your hands next time.
Not your face.
Why don't you stop crying?
Oh my.
If you didn't have tears in your eyes, you would have caught it.
If you didn't have tears in your eyes, you would have saw it.
Nick, what you been up to?
I mean, really the same, man. The same. I've traveled quite a bit last month and a half. I was in Alabama for a wedding for a college friend. I was in DC for the Marine Corps Marathon for work. I was at the Chicago Marathon for work. So a lot of travel really recently.
Travel's good.
Next weekend I head up to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to run the Route 66 marathon. That one I'm actually running, not working. And then I go from there to Indiana for Thanksgiving. Then I come back to Houston. So a lot of travel.
Gosh.
How's your race shaping up? Like the one you're hosting?
Good. Good right now. I mean, we've got some changes going on with like our layout and stuff, which is really nice because it makes things like not so stale from year to year. So you actually have to adjust and plan accordingly, which is really nice. But really good. We sold out our marathon a week ago,
I missed it.
which is great. Hey, say the word and I'll get you in.
Oh, don't tell me that.
I'll
For
run
any
it.
for
I'll
any
run it and push
listeners,
Colton. I'll run it and push Colton in a wheelchair.
for any listeners, I will not get you in. I can't do it. We should be selling out our half marathon soon. That's like right on the verge, which is great. So, sold out races are great. That means more heads in beds for the city, which is great. Just all around pretty good.
Tell
Not
me
too
you
bad.
use that phrase in meetings.
More heads in beds.
Heads in beds.
Yes.
Well, Cole, we have two very different jobs, and part of ours is we get support from the city in different aspects.
Yeah, because
But,
you're bringing so many people to them.
You kind of have to return, if you only bring 5 people from out of state that are going to get a hotel room, it's kind of hard to say to the hotels, hey,
shut
can you
down.
give us hotel blocks? And, we're going to shut down this street for the marathon because, we got this stuff going on. Well, if you're not actually like bringing dollars into the city, it's harder to have that conversation.
Okay, so serious
heads in
note here
beds.
though. So you guys get hotel blocks? I didn't know that.
I mean, we do, like, we have like groups of rooms reserved near each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, some of them are at like slightly discounted rates compared to what they would normally be. But most of it is, hey, we've got like, these elite athletes coming in, like this group of elite athletes.
Oh, so
We're going
it's
to
more
stick
like
them together.
so it's more
in the
like
same area.
It's more like a VIP type thing, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term.
Yeah, it's that kind
Okay.
of thing. So like we try and get like our staff on the same floor. Elites are in the same area. That way the elite coordinators,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to travel, 16 floors to talk to everybody.
Makes sense.
It's just a little bit more convenient that way. So
That's neat.
Sounds like you got to figure it out.
happily I don't have to do or deal with the hotels. I don't have to do all of the bookings and stuff because that's just a monstrous task.
I bet.
Do you have any big runners coming in?
I actually have not seen one. I haven't seen our elite list. Two, if we did and it wasn't public yet, I probably couldn't say anything, but I actually don't know.
We have a lot of listeners,
And then, well, I gotta watch what I say about certain things. It's not a lot of things, but certain things. And then three, I actually don't follow professional running very in-depthly. So like you could mention a name and I'd be like, yeah, I've heard of that person. But I was just at the last 2 years I was at the Chicago Marathon. This year in October, the world record for the women's marathon was broken. I was at the finish line when that happened. 2 years ago in October, I was at the finish line when the men's world record was broken. I can't tell you who broke them.
Okay.
Now, if you told me names, I'd be like, yeah, that was him or that was her. But I just don't really follow professional sports in general. I never have. And yeah. So I know some names, but not real knowledgeable about the subject.
Nick, do you run on Thanksgiving morning?
Usually, yeah.
Do you run an actual race or you just kind of run your own?
I've done both in the past. Actually, my brother and I went out, this was several years ago. He dressed up like a pilgrim because he works for Plymouth and they had like pilgrim costumes.
Yeah.
He dressed up as a pilgrim. I dressed up as a turkey and we ended up winning the race that we went to.
Nice.
Dressed up like a couple idiots.
That's worth it.
That was pretty fun. And we said we would finish together. That way nobody actually won. And it's funny because I pushed a little bit to get that last step in so I would win.
Of
But
course.
we didn't realize before the race when we were putting on our race bibs that I put on his and he put on mine.
Oh,
so
nice.
he won.
Dang.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what you
It was
get.
great. It was great. We had a good time though. That was fun.
That's like
That
instant
does-
karma.
And then the other year we did a race. It was in I think it was in Peru and
Oh, yeah.
Peru, Indiana. Just so
Yes.
we're clear.
Yes.
Um, and Peru is in Central Time Zone, and we didn't put that together leaving from Bourbon. So we got there like 3 hours early and didn't know. And like when we got out, we were like, what's going on? Like there's literally nothing here. Because it was, I think it was a 5K, and 5Ks don't take a whole lot of effort to set up. Depending on the 5K, I will throw that out there. But a lot of 5Ks, like you could do a couple hours before the race if you needed to. So there was literally nothing set up, and we're like, all right, what's going on? And then we put two and two together that we were in a different time zone, and we ended up sleeping in the car for an hour.
Get some rest.
Good times. Good times.
Sounds like fun.
Nice.
All right.
Gunner,
Oh.
brother, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm great. It's just another great week. Spent my whole evening moving things off of our carpet because we have people coming tomorrow to replace our carpet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, doing the whole upstairs.
I was gonna say, are you doing down, up, so all
Just
upstairs?
Yeah, just upstairs. This time, we're afraid that Sophia's gonna catch a tack strip, so
Smart.
fix it. Yeah. So yeah, doing that. Sarah's, I don't even know, she's painting right now or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's been kind of a slow, boring week for me. So, but it's all good. I haven't done anything exciting. Had a good conversation with Nick about Minecraft Mondays.
We did. No, we did.
Maybe you could try to convince Colton that's actually a decent game. He
Colton
won't listen.
doesn't appreciate fine art.
It is like a 16 pixel game through the whole thing.
Colton is the kind of guy that will drink a Busch Light and tell you that it is the top tier beer. That's the kind of guy Colton is.
I don't
And
think
you can't argue. You can't argue with that kind of guy.
You know what,
And
Nick?
sir, I'm talking. Gunnar and I are having a conversation.
Forgive me. It's your show. Continue. I'm listening intently.
One
No,
Busch
I'm
Light
done
for
now.
3.
Everybody knows that I am a Guinness guy through and through. I do not care about Busch Light. I don't care about Busch Heavy. I don't care about it. I like Guinness. It's simple. It's Guinness. So you have your little Busch Lights, your Michelobes, whatever.
The superior light beer. Yeah.
Nick, come on, man. We're almost to the meat and potatoes here, brother. We just got to make it a little bit longer.
We've almost started.
We're almost there. Well, you know what? We'll be there right now.
Good thing Gunner's here. We would have never. We'd still be talking Lord of the Rings.
We
right
would still
now.
be talking about Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Oh,
Because I have more comments about it, but that's not what this show is about.
You're right. It's not. I think
Gunner, what is this show about?
We are going to talk The Wizard of Oz 2.
Okay, right on.
Just because that's like every single part of the show makes me think Wizard of Oz.
Oh my gosh.
No, Agatha all along.
Yes.
Yes. The show that Colton, I think when he saw the first trailer for this show, said, I don't know if I can watch it. It looks kind of scary.
Oh, those scary parts were there.
Nah.
What's for me?
Maybe a couple like little jump scares. And maybe some like intense moments. Nothing scary.
Agatha being possessed freaked the heck out of me. And the demon in the episode before. Did not like those at all.
What about the 7?
Could care less. You can't see
Oh,
them.
they
They're all
didn't get
black. No, they didn't. No.
What about Rio crawling out of the grave?
No.
That was kind of
All,
creepy.
all contorted and everything.
That was a little creepy.
That one didn't get you?
No, that one didn't get me.
Okay.
You were skeptical off the start.
Oh yeah, I was. Heck
Not
yeah,
only not only for the scare factor, but for any other factor too. But
yeah. I was just assuming another typical MCU show. Um, super message driven. Terrible story, terrible writing. Um, no story. Yeah, like just no storytelling. No start, middle, and end. And then where do we go from here? And honestly, I was pleasantly surprised with this show. Do feel like there is a start, middle, and end, and then a takeoff for what's next. So to finally feel like to get that is great. It makes you believe that they could still do some storytelling in in the realm of the MCU. Um, but this show to me goes into the category of you just because you're a good player on a bad team doesn't make you a good player. That's what this show is to me. Um, I think it still has a lot of flaws, but just from like a basic standpoint of, a TV show, this show had it. It had a very, very terrible start. The first two episodes I still don't like. I don't start liking this until like the last, like when they start singing the song, like when the seven are coming. The seven get introduced, that's when it starts to get good in episode two at the end. And from there, to me, it felt like it got better each and every episode. The stakes got a little bit higher, and there were consequences that definitely made sense. Everything seemed to go together for the most part. And then the ending, I enjoyed the ending. I don't know where they're going to go. I hope they've given Catherine Hahn options to either stay in or get out, in my opinion. So we'll see where that takes us. But it
oh,
seems like it's been so long since we've had a show that made sense and we had a really good story to it. So for that, good job. You did the bare minimum. You did it. Um, so that's kind of my take on the show. What about you, Nick? You got anything? What's your initial thoughts?
I would agree with some of what you said. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. I think the storyline was pretty good coming off of WandaVision. I think it built well off of WandaVision. Um, I would agree with you. The beginning is slow. The first two episodes, very, very slow. I think we could almost do without episode one, but like there is some validity to it, right? She's got to meet Teen. She's got to be broken out of Wanda's spell. And then in episode two, she's got to find the coven to like go down the road. So there's validity to what happened, but I just feel like it was so slow and it took so long to actually get there. Um, but after that, I would agree with you. The next, I think there were 9 episodes total, right?
Yeah.
The next 5 episodes I thought were really good. And then we get into episodes 8 and 9. And I thought 8 and the beginning of 9 were phenomenal. And the twist at the end was really, really great. Didn't see it coming at all, which is really nice. Like, you're going through a show and then all of a sudden they throw this at you and you're like, wow, I've seen that coming for 4 episodes. So this wasn't really a shock. It was a really, really good twist. The one area that I would differ from Colton, the ending, I didn't like it. It felt like a cop out for Agatha, that she can still live and still go on. I wish they either would have written it where she survived and somehow made a deal with death and beat death, beat Rio, or she died. One or the other. And we're kind of in between, right? Because she died, but then she came back as a ghost. So yeah, I felt like it was a little bit of a cop out, but I have seen it twice now. And if you haven't watched it a second time, I think it's better the second time because you know what the twist is. And in episode 8, it does go through Billy's like room, and you see elements of like what his subconscious was projecting into the road, which I think is really cool. But when you watch it a second time, there is so much where they're just hinting at this being Billy's creation. Um, and it's better the second time for sure. Especially end of episode 2, going into episode 3, when uh when Agatha finds out that the road is there, and you already know from the flashback scene in episode 9 what she was doing with the road. It's just one big con.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just to watch her like think she's gonna steal these witches' power, and then all of a sudden the road is there and the road's not real. And then you watch her as she's going through the road and like what she says to Teen, and she is just hinting the whole time. There's one line in episode 3 when they get down there, they take off their shoes, they start walking, and Teen says like, "This is exactly how I pictured it."
Yep.
And she's like, "Well, you would know."
You would know. Yep.
Because it's not a real place. And it's just like watching it the second time is just so cool, because you know now that it's not supposed to be a real place. So everything happening is actually a projection from Teen, and it's really good. I think overall it'd probably be like a 7 or 8 for me. I also agree with Colton. It's nice to have like another show where it actually feels like it has some like gravity to it, some weight to it, and it's not just there to hold a spot. That being said, I do think it's holding a little bit of a spot, unfortunately. But when I did go back and watch WandaVision again, it was really cool to see the Agatha reveal scene, because they do like, WandaVision, it starts off as a sitcom. Like each episode starts off with a sitcom intro and then an outro at the end. And when they introduce Agatha finally as a witch, they give her own intro as Agatha All Along show. And it's cool to see like that's how they introduced her originally. And then in this show, to like make the connection that in WandaVision, all of the stuff that was going wrong was Agatha all along. And then in this show, like to kind of make that connection again, and that Agatha knows what's happening, or Agatha knew what was happening all along. So the name of the show makes a little more sense, and I like the connection back to WandaVision where she was introduced as well.
That was really well said.
What about you, Gunnar? Because
Um,
I knew you had some issues with the name change, with the title change.
originally, yeah, I Covenant of Chaos, that was a great name. But I think Nick's right. I think taking what they ended with in WandaVision and then changing it over here and kind of getting that kind of cross over where it makes more sense that Agatha was the villain all along, and now here she is, and she just knows pretty much everything that's going on. But on top of her doing it and having her con and trying to get her powers back, she's playing along. And I think I do think the name is fitting. That was like my first thing when they switched the name over for the show. I was like, what are they doing? Is it gonna be something silly and it's just gonna not be? You watch the first trailer and you're like, this is gonna be a really good like horror thriller kind of show, and then they changed the name and I was like, that doesn't really fit that for me. But no, overall, I think you guys are right on pacing for the first 2 episodes ish. I actually kind of enjoyed the show as a whole. I didn't really hate any of the episodes. I didn't dislike any of the episodes, but once they get into the trials and they start going through there, it's just so like captivating to see. And like Nick said, I've watched Easter egg videos and went back through and watched some things, but just I haven't watched the show a second time. But to see all the connections back to Billy's room, like that first house in the trial, he's got an actual portrait painted in his room on the wall, and the house is in that same area. And so if you were one of those guys that does that for a living, picks out Easter eggs, you'd sit there and probably nitpick that stuff and be like, oh, that was in Billy's room or whatever. But it's just cool to see and then get the twist at the end. And I've told Colton this. I just enjoyed this show as a whole. I didn't have any problems with it. I didn't feel like they pushed any messages as bad as what we thought they were going to. But I don't think it would have hurt the show either way.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I felt like the show overall had. Sorry, my video actually keeps pausing and restarting. So like I think you were in
You're
the
good.
middle of a thought there.
No, you're good, man. Keep going. That's probably not going to get cut. Just so you know.
Cool. Uh,
No cut
I
things here.
Regroup,
regroup.
and
I
let's do
think
this.
I think the show had really good writing. Um, Once you get to, I don't remember which number of episode it was, but it's the tower where it's Lilia's trial. It's the divination trial.
Mm-hmm.
And there you actually see the writers knew what they were doing beforehand because she has all these random outbursts, right?
Yeah.
And then you find out in her episode what she's doing, like her life has been, is basically like where all other characters are existing in a single point on a timeline.
A linear timeline.
She's existing the timeline itself. So like she's hitting different points, and it's really cool to like watch the parts of the show where they piece the stuff she has said in the past into what's actually happening and make it a full conversation. And she just like runs through that, and I'm like, wow, that's actually really well done for her character. I really like that. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good as well. So I think the writing for the show was decent as well in several aspects.
Her death though, that was brutal.
Yeah, my issue with that is that we killed the seven has been kind of built up through this whole show that these are like seven people you do not want to mess with.
Yeah.
Like they have got the tools and the talent to take care of anything. And to have them just go down like that, it was to me, a little deflating. But I think that to me, that's my favorite episode by far. That episode, because I'm with Nick. I love how they piece together her whole storyline through the whole show, and then brought it together for one episode. And you're finding more about her, finding out about how her life is technically how she lives her life. And I just thought, man, they have not done anything this good like this in a long time. Probably since like Loki's character arc. Like that's like I feel like Loki's character
She-Hulk,
arc.
though?
Okay, yeah, good one. Good one, Gunner. Good one. But you know what I mean? Like her character arc through the whole thing, I felt like has been one of the best written characters in the MCU TV shows.
Yeah. I could see that. Nick, did you have a favorite episode or favorite scene overall?
My favorite part was episode 9 at the beginning when it's Agatha's flashback to her having her son Nicholas. And you kind of, we've been building like this whole season that Agatha's the bad person, and she may or may not have sacrificed her son to get the Darkhold, and she kills witches all the time. Like that's her thing. And then you actually like see what it was all about. And I said something to Colton on one of our phone calls. I'm not a huge fan of like the villain always getting
Redemption
the cop out redemption
Yeah.
story. But then to find out that she didn't necessarily need a redemption story because she's never actually been that bad. Yeah, I really liked the first part of episode 9. You get the Easter egg a little bit there that her son was born dead. Rio is there to collect him. And I really like the concept that she had a child with death, and so the child is dead. You know, the child wasn't alive to start. And then they make the deal that Rio will give him more time, but it's like very ambiguous, not really like clear about
Well,
what
it's
that
lifelike.
time
I mean, that's
is.
real, but that's real though, because you don't know how long you got.
Yeah, but it's not like, because like if you watch any other show, right, and you make a deal with a demon or a deal with the devil, they're like, I'll give you 10 years, and at the end of 10 years I get your soul, kind of thing. It's very concrete, like this is the time you get, this is what I get in return.
So
But this is super ambiguous.
and that's why I think Rio, this per like Aubrey Plaza's character of death here is so good, and I think that's one of the reasons is because it actually uses real legitimate rules. It doesn't come up with its own rules or its own stuff. It's real lifelike rules. You do not know when you are going to die, plain and simple. Nobody knows. You do not know. That is something you will never know until it's too late. um and I love that fact that she goes and she asks how long, you know, and she's gone. It's like, you need to be thankful for the time you have now. Like, you're on borrowed time right now. And I love that because that is how life is. Like, to me, that brings another step to why this show is good, is that there's realism to the characters. And I love, that's one of the things that I really like about Aubrey Plaza's character in that aspect, because she acts like death. Like, it is a real character that you can relate to in real life.
When I like some of the subtle nudges between Rio and Agatha during the show, how they kind of have this crosstalk because they've had relationship in the past, and like they've had just in general, you know, meetings in the past, and
Oh yeah.
you get this feeling. I mean, obviously there was something going on. You don't know exactly what until episode 9, but in the fire trial episode with the curse, Agatha puts her on loudspeaker and Rio says, "You know how this works.
Yeah.
You get your power, I get my bodies." And then once you finally get to episode 9, you know what she's talking about.
Correct.
That Agatha's stealing power, and in return, Rio collects dead bodies. You know, she escorts people off.
Yep.
And I think, I mean, it just in general, I really like that beginning part of the episode. And then it leads into the con of it all. And when I watched that, I was just like, wow, this is really good. Because you get this whole feeling, right, that Agatha's a bad witch. And, you know, she's just off killing people. But during the like the first couple episodes, she even says when she kills Alice, when Alice strikes her with her power, she says she can't control when she takes power. And you don't get a lot of like backstory on Agatha stealing power, like what the actual process is. But it makes a little bit of sense once you get into the fact that she's taking power for Nicholas's life. And then, you know, after that, Nicholas is dead, and some lady that heard the song at the bar is like, hey, we got to go down the witch's road. And then there's this whole con that starts building, and Agatha just builds on it for centuries and centuries. That's definitely my favorite part, just because I think it brings the whole thing together. Everything is just really fleshed out nicely. You get more detail on Rio. You get more detail on the road in general. And I mean, literally how it's non-existent.
Yep.
And then you get more detail on what Agatha was doing when the Seven showed up. Because I would agree with Colton, you know, the Seven are like this big bad in this show. And then they just got written off so easily, which kind of stinks. But in the very beginning, they're running from them. And Agatha's whole plan is not to go down the road to get her power back. Her whole plan is to take the power from the witches that she finds. So, yeah, I really like episode 9, the beginning of it, because it really brings everything else together and just makes everything make sense.
Nice. What about you, Gunnar?
Yeah, I mean, I would honestly agree. Episode 9 probably overall. I mean, I love the trials. I love the concept of having each episode has its own backstory and you get information about each of the coven members.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great. It'd be a hard one to pick which trial was my favorite. I mean, but I think that all those episodes were great. But 9 getting the backstory with Nicholas and figure, figuring all that out and then seeing the way that Rio did take him and he dies in his sleep. It's just it's kind of like a sad heartwarming moment all at the same time because he just kind of gets up and he accepts it and he goes. I think he kind of knew he was leaving his mom in a good bad place and then she goes off
Yeah.
and does what she does. But yeah, there's a lot of episodes that I enjoyed. I don't know that I could pick a favorite one, but if I did, it'd be the backstory. Absolutely least favorite episode, and I just felt like it was out of place. Would be Billy's
The flashback,
flashback episode.
worst
I just
episode,
felt like
100%.
it just didn't seem to fit this show. I guess. I mean, you get some things, but
My issue with it is, yeah, I think you nailed it. There's no place for it in this episode, in the show. It makes no sense because in episode 8, where Agatha and Rio are talking about, what, Rio's pissed because, Billy cheated death essentially. And she's like, we need a body. He cannot go get his brother because we're not playing this game. I am death. I win at the end. Father Time is undefeated. Okay, she's going to keep that record clean. So you get the whole story right there in the first like 5-10 minutes that they're talking about the whole episode before with Billy's episode. And I was just like, there's no point for that episode. You just covered everything right there that you needed to know about it.
I would disagree though. I do think the
Nick,
episode
you
was
can
a
just sign
little.
off. Just sign off, Nick. We don't need you anymore. Appreciate
no,
you.
you can Nick.
You have a good night.
You can stay. Don't listen to Cole.
I would disagree though. I do think the episode was out of place. Just, I mean, obviously from the whole storyline, it's very abrupt, the flashback and everything. But you have to have that context that I think his name was William, that he was someone else at a time. Billy had to inhabit the body, but he didn't kill William. William died in a car accident. And at the same time, it just so happened that Wanda was releasing her spell. So like dead body is available and he's allowed to, before he dies from the spell, they're allowed to mix. But then you also get the concept of he's now in an unfamiliar story. He has parents that he's never had before. He has to learn this other guy's life, figure it out, and he gets to a place where he's basically like, okay, I understand what's going on, and I just have to pretend to be this other guy, which I think is really important. But then to go back to the end of episode 8, where they're talking, when Rio and Agatha are talking about, he cannot go get his brother at the end of the road because they both know once Billy realizes that he created the road, Billy can go get his brother. Billy can make his brother. But it takes a dying body or a dead body for that to happen.
A body that hasn't crossed over yet, that death has not picked up yet.
So Agatha helps him, along finding that body that's drowning. Mm-hmm. So that way his brother can inhabit the body so he can manifest his brother in a body. But you don't really, I mean, you could do without the flashback episode, but I feel like it gives you more to what Billy has to do and like what Tommy's actually going to be going through and like what's happening in that situation.
But it's Bill. The name of the show is Billy all along. Then correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Because Agatha has known all along what's happening. There is no road. Billy's making the road, and she knows that, and she hints at it several times. Come on, Colton.
Okay, so that was episode 6. could that episode have fallen episode between episode 1 and 2? Say it was like at the beginning of the show. Add that as another twist. Like you see Billy or William's backstory, but you don't really understand, why he survived the car accident. And then you
Ooh.
flash like way back at the end when then they could
Yeah.
explain that. That might have been a better way
I
to
feel
tell that
like
story.
I feel like you could have gotten a shorter version of William's life, and that would have been pretty cool, Gunnar, if they would have like he would have survived, right?
Yeah,
The car crash.
and he's acting differently, and he's trying to figure out like his whole life all over again, like he's trying to relearn life. That would have been, that's probably not half bad,
I think
because
that
then the
would-
whole time you'd be thinking, what happened? You would be just assuming, PTSD from a car crash. That's what I would have assumed.
well, and then he-
First
Short-term
time.
memory loss from
and
Yeah.
then he gets into witchcraft and he
a
starts
concussion,
like, yeah,
like
yeah.
Sends
that
him on
also-
his journey to kind of prove himself to Agatha that he wants to be a witch, kind of
Well,
thing. I do like that, Gunnar. That's a good.
It would
Alright.
it would have been
You're
cool
a
to bring
writer.
it would have been cool to bring it back to like how Agatha tells him this is how you're going to get your brother back, and then you get the flashback of how Billy survived. So like you get all of, I think his name's William. You get William's story and he survived the car crash and everything, and you're like, all right, this is kind of odd, but like he survived, he's got PTSD, whatever. And then you get to when Agatha's like telling him how to create Tommy or how to bring Tommy in, and it's like you've already done this once, and then you kind of get bits and pieces of the flashback to realize, oh, that's Billy that just inhabited. That would have been really cool, Gunnar.
Send me over.
Sign him up.
Call him up.
No, I do like that. I think that would have made more sense than having it where it was. Shorten the episode, make it kind of seem confusing as all get out, but really, because I mean, what I think what this show did prove, especially with Lilia's character, is that they did a really good job of writing the show for the most part.
Mhm.
So I think that they could have done a better job with his story if they would have maybe thought a little bit more outside the box. Maybe they just weren't thinking that way. I don't know.
They do a little bit of intro to some of the other characters though in that flashback though. Like
Yeah,
you get,
I don't need it.
but you get a little bit of Lilia. I think you get a little bit of Alice.
Oh, they're all in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Are-
all in it because
and-
that's how he hears about Jennifer's, lawsuits, and Alice is a cop that's at the crash, I believe. Obviously,
Yeah.
Lilia is at the bar mitzvah.
It makes the sigil a little bit more powerful though, in my opinion. It makes a little bit more sense because like all of these characters have seen this boy before, but they can't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
The only one you're missing, Sharon.
Yeah, but Sharon wasn't supposed to be there.
Mrs. Hart.
Mrs. Hart.
Oh, Kitty.
Poor Kitty Foreman.
Yeah. love
Done
her.
dirty.
Okay, let's do some characters.
Okay.
Let's do both. Just go favorite and least favorite,
Oh, man. Favorite. Jeez.
or vice versa, however you want to do.
Man. Nick, you got anything? I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of a least favorite character. Oh, man.
I think my favorite character was Rio. Because I think she radiated some chaos into every scene she was in. And she was there to collect bodies. And she would try and force that a little bit. Like,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah.
I'm taking a body out of here one way or the other. I don't care if you're dead or I have to do it, but I'm taking a body." I kind of like that about her character. But then she was also very serious about her job, about her role.
Mm-hmm.
So at any time it like actually got to a point where she had to take a body, when it's Nicholas or even when it was Agatha, it got very, very serious. Like this is a solemn moment. It's your time. We're gonna move on. And so even though she like really radiated chaos into situations, when it came time to do her duty, it was very serious and very solemn. I really like that about her character.
You still
And
think?
that's I I think I do have to go with Rio. I felt like she played that character. It was just everything I've experienced in life, just like that character, how unfair that character is, and really what she's portraying as the character of death and how unfair death truly is sometimes to us that we see, that we think. Um, I think that character was just hit out of the park, you know. Um, yeah, I thought it was really good.
Well, you thought Aubrey Plaza right off the start. You were like, even before they started the show, you said you thought she was going to do really good. You just knew she was going to be one of those characters that just stuck out.
It's true. I felt like this from what I saw from the trailers, like this like genre, this kind of scary, spooky, was kind of her wheelhouse. And I think she did a phenomenal job,
Yeah.
especially with the role that we see her in and get to play. I think she did phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Because there are times that she is just like what Nick said. I am taking a body with me. Either we're making one or I'm taking one. I'm leaving with one. So, and I just think that kind of character role for her, she does a really good job with. So I'm gonna go with Rio as well. Gunnar, you got a favorite?
Um, no, I don't.
Okay,
I mean, I do. I like Rio. I think Agatha as a character is better to me in WandaVision than she really was in this show. I think I like.
I agree.
Is it Catherine Hahn? Is that her name?
Catherine Hahn.
Yeah. I don't mind Catherine Hahn as an actress, but I wasn't really feeling her in the show. And I like the relationship between Agatha and Rio, but I also felt like they were so back and forth all the time. You didn't know if they were in love with each other. You didn't know if they, hated each other. And then next thing you
Very
know,
old,
she's in the coven. And then next thing you know, they're best friends. It's like,
very, very old married coupled esque.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't you think that has to be the way it is, right? Like, if you're in love with death, but death has taken your son, like, aren't you gonna have that complicated love-hate relationship? Like, you have to, right? I mean, when death's gonna step in, and Rio does a really good job of doing the job every time, except for in Nicholas's case, which was her own child. So we're gonna pass that one. But like, if she's got to do her job every time, that's got to weigh on you, right? As like the other person in the relationship. So I feel like there's got to be a love-hate relationship with death.
Maybe it just seemed a little overdone. Maybe it was just too much. I mean, they didn't have to be so back and forth. There could have been, 4 episodes where they were, hating and yelling, fighting each other, and then at the end when they finally recuperate their old relationship. And I don't know. It was definitely interesting. Cole, what else you got?
I'm just trying to think of a least favorite character.
Oh yeah, least favorite. I already got mine. I think Agatha was probably my least favorite.
Ooh, that's tough. I think I like it. I like her relationship with Teen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that to me was one of the redeeming qualities for Agatha because I was with you. We've talked about it. I think I've talked about it with you both. I don't think Catherine Hahn is a leading gal, but I think she knocks the ball out of the park when she is a supporting cast member. And that was one of my biggest things that I was worried about. But I thought they did a good job of always pairing her up with somebody, and I think that helped. There were very few times when it was just like her at the helm. Well, I think the first 2 episodes, it was kind of her at the helm. And I was like, maybe that's why I don't like the first 2 episodes
To
that
be
much.
honest, I think she paired well with every
Oh,
actor,
yeah.
fan or actress. I thought that she
I
worked
think that
really
just
well
goes.
with
I think that just goes to show like her ability,
it. Mm-hmm.
and that's where she thrives is with somebody. So I'm gonna say it, Mrs. Hart, least favorite character.
That's rude.
Or Kitty.
She's dead. How dare you?
Not enough screen time.
She was
She
just
gets in the
gardening,
first.
man.
She gets into the first challenge. What's she do?
Drinks too much.
Drinks a lot.
Hey, if anybody knows Kitty Foreman, she drinks a lot.
Yeah, but what would you do, Colton? You're not a witch. You don't have any idea that magic even exists except for what nonsense just happened with Wanda. And then all of a sudden you're thrown into this situation and someone's like, "Hey, by the way, there's a bottle of wine here."
My thought process is with Mrs. Hart, is why have a character like that in it? Why not bring another? Is that way because so that way you can kill her off easier
Yeah.
because there's
Well, that's
nothing.
the way to start
She
it.
brings nothing to the coven.
But
Is
that was the point,
yeah? But
right?
I'm saying, well, why not just have Rio from the start?
Because Agatha had a complicated relationship with Rio. Come
Who
on,
cares?
man, keep
I know,
up.
I know that was the one name she ate.
Which is
We needed
what
another
I
Green
mean.
Witch.
Yeah, but it's even better because Billy believes that she's a witch, and he believes that you need a coven of witches to open the road. And so the road opened for a coven of witches.
I
But
might
there's
take it.
not a coven of witches there.
I might take mine back. I'm gonna miss Mrs. Foreman's all right. It's Billy because Billy kills her.
Yeah, really, in the long run, Billy killed anybody that died. Billy was the reason this entire thing. He created his own
The covenant
hacks.
dies because of Billy.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
So I take it back. Billy is the worst.
Not even as a character. He's just the worst.
First off, Billy, how dare you?
Yeah. Poor old
Nick,
Kitty
do you,
Foreman.
Nick, do you have a least favorite character?
I'm trying to think of like characters that I didn't really like. And that would be in no particular order: Jen, Lilia, and Alice. Just kind of off the side to help the coven along, and like they had some story, but they were just kind of worthless to like the whole thing, right? And I don't know. I feel like they didn't bring a lot to the table as a whole. Lilia obviously gets a little bit better, I think, in her episode, in her trial. I think she gets much better and much more fleshed out. I don't think Alice's trial did that for her.
Mm-mm.
So she's probably pretty close to the bottom. And then Jen's trial was all right. I mean, it wasn't bad. You kind of get all the flashbacks while they're under the influence of the poison. But they're just kind of, chucking stuff into a sink, and Billy's the one that gets the device to heat everything up. And I feel like she didn't
This is my
really
dad's.
she didn't really contribute a lot. I don't think. But
Right.
I would probably say Alice or Jen.
I think Jen was there more as like the preppy complainer. Like that's all she did most of the time was just complain about what was going on. And
And
I
she
thought,
survives.
I think
And she
Alice
survives.
Yeah, Alice was probably my favorite. And I don't know if it was the music aspect of her growing up or what, but I just
Okay.
enjoyed her character more than the other two.
What do we think? What do we think of the song? The Witches Road
Loved it.
song that was like I thought it was fantastic.
I thought it was great because like you get the part in episode 9 where Nicholas is the one that comes up with the song, and it's not
Yes.
the song,
It's not the song
and then
whatsoever.
it slowly changes into the song as he finds like more and more where his song is going, right? Like as he writes it a little bit more and more, and then
Agatha influences a little bit, and
eventually Agatha takes it over, and that's how you open the road, slash that's how she steals people's power. And then you get what was her name? Alice's mom.
yeah,
Laurel. Is that right?
Yeah, there you go. I think
Laurel.
that sounds right. Yeah.
And then she comes up with her own version of it as a
A
protection
cover.
spell, which
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's okay. That's really cool. And then Agatha's the one that says, someone somewhere is always listening to this song, and that's the reason you're still alive. That's the reason the curse hasn't claimed you, is
Mhm.
because your mom did this. And I'm like, man, that's really cool that they took the song and they did that. I really like it. I think it's really good. It's a really great addition to the storyline.
It's so freaking catchy too.
Yes.
Like every time I heard it, the next day I was singing the song most of the day.
William heard it and he just went down, down. He just kept saying down.
It's got a
And I
great
was like,
melody.
that sounds like a Blink song, bud. He goes, what?
Yeah, it's good. Love the song.
I thought the song was fantastic. I'm with Nick. Episode 9, when you learn the origins of the song, kind of breaks your heart a little bit. And oh man, just well done. Like I said, this show, I'm pleasantly surprised with how well this show was written and thought of before. I never thought we'd see one again.
A little less than 6 months, and we'll have a good one coming.
What's that?
Born Again.
Huh?
Born Again. Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil.
Mm.
Nick, you take
Nick
those
rolled his
rolling
eyes.
eyes of yours and
He
you can
rolled
just
his
roll
eyes.
on out roll on out of here with that.
Let's go up.
With that attitude.
All right. Do you guys have anything else on all along?
Man.
I'm just gonna call everything by its subtitle now.
Yeah. um Dang, man. I don't know. Like, it's a good show. I'm with Nick. I've watched it twice. This is the first show I've watched twice. And it is so much better the second time because it kind of reminds me of Fight Club. The first time you watch Fight Club, you're like, what the heck is going on? And then you see what's going on at the end. You're like, dude, I got to rewatch that right now just so that I could see like how everything was going. And I really enjoyed it the second time around so much more than the first. And I was pleasantly surprised. Now, granted, I did start in episode 2 when the when the Salem 7 showed up on the road.
You just
So,
skipped
I
episode 1
skipped
completely.
1 and most of 2. I was like, I'm not doing this crap again.
I understand.
So, but yeah, I mean, just to see Agatha the whole time, like she knows, like from Jump Street, she's like, this is not right. So, like I said, it's just I was really, really impressed with everything. So, I would say give it a watch. It's at least a worth a one over.
Would you put it in your
And
top 10? Or your
top
top
10.
top 5 TV shows?
Ooh, this would probably be number 5. I still don't like some of the stuff in it. There's still like from start to finish, there's more good than bad, but there's
Mhm.
still bad in there. But it definitely takes whatever's in my 5th spot up.
We'd have to look at it. I don't remember. But
Just
yeah, I agree.
just basically just because of the story. I thought it was so well done.
Nick,
So
any last thoughts?
I really liked. I know we just talked about Jen's episode and how we just talked about Jen's trial and how she's probably one of my least favorite characters with Alice. But I really like the concept of how they're going through this list of ingredients that get thrown into the potion. And this is one of the just misconceptions about witchcraft back in the day in general, how they're like naming all of these off the wall things. We need Eye of Newt. Well, Eye of Newt is not an eye from a newt, it's mustard seed. It was just a different name for mustard seed. So they're literally making like a soup, right? Like they're not, there's nothing crazy about these ingredients going in. There's nothing magical about them. Like mustard seed probably had some kind of,
Healing
this or
properties.
that. Like garlic is really good for healing properties. Like there's just a bunch of like things, right? A bunch of foods and a bunch of plants that have different properties to them that if you take them in certain amounts, then, they help out. So it's kind of cool, like to see that just as they're going through things, and Teen doesn't know because Teen doesn't have any idea about this stuff. And they're like explaining it to him. And they're just like, oh yeah, well that's just mustard seed. We just need mustard seed. Or like
the lotion. Then that wasn't like lotion or like skincare product of some sort.
Yeah,
at
it
one
was
point.
her. It was her skincare product, and
Yeah.
Agatha goes, I know a snake charmer when I see one.
And the whole point of that was like they needed the bile from a stomach of a something from 10,000 years ago.
Oh
and
yeah.
and they're like, well, where the heck are we gonna find that? And she's like, it's petroleum. Just find some petroleum, because that's
What
and
how
dinosaurs
petroleum's made.
So it's like, all right, well, dumb it down like that for me, I guess. But that's kind of cool how like they walk you through that. I thought that was a pretty cool addition to the show, even though Jen's really not my favorite character.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a really like. I guess I didn't put all that together, and the way you just explained it was helpful. So if you are watching, if anybody out there is going to go watch the show and you see that now, they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, and this is what Nick was talking about." That's that's pretty cool.
I've seen it before on like TikToks where like people explain witchcraft. They're like, yeah, they throw a bunch of ingredients into some water and then they cook it for a very specific amount of time at a very specific temperature. Man, they're just making soup. That's all they're doing. And I'm like, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I think they even throw in there like you look at a book that's been passed down from generations and you do exactly what the written instructions tell you by adding these ingredients and then you cook it, and I'm like, wow, you just nailed witchcraft.
Recipes.
And I'm making some of that on the stove right now.
Yeah,
Oh man.
that's good. That's good. You guys got anything else?
What do you
I think
think?
so.
What do we think of the end? What do you think is going to happen? Where is this? Where are Teen, Billy, whatever we want to call him? Where are him and Agatha going?
Well, if you think about it, you got the last trial, right? And the last trial in Billy's mind was you getting your reward. And if you got your reward, you could leave. And so Jen got her power back and she was taken off the road.
Okay.
Billy's reward was saving Tommy's life.
Hmm.
And Billy left, which means that Tommy's been saved or brought back or, whatever, however you want to put that. So somewhere out there in the world, Tommy exists based on Billy's subconscious, because that's how he understood the road. He was allowed to leave when he got his reward. So, I think they've got to go get Tommy. And now that Agatha is like a little ghost guide kind of thing, I think she's going to help Billy understand his power more and what he can do and how to use it and harness it and everything as they're trying to go get Tommy.
Would it be worth it though to do a season 2 of this show following Tommy and Billy and Tommy? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think you almost need to bring Tommy into the new Scarlet Witch movie. Which, is there a new Scarlet Witch movie? I feel like there
They
is.
will be. They've been talking about it. Yeah.
It's in talks.
But like obviously she's not dead. So I think you're going to introduce Tommy in a new movie. And in that movie, you're going to get introduced to this character that doesn't quite know where he's at. And then along comes Agatha and Billy as protagonists or antagonists in the story. And so you're going to get introduced to them as side characters in this movie, or maybe additional main characters, one or the other. But I think that's a good way to introduce them because I don't think a season 2 would be hard to do. I think,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? The Adventures of Billy and Ghost.
Billy and Mandy. Yeah.
There you go.
So why do we think
Adventures.
Agatha is a ghost? Why isn't she just gone?
And she says it. She couldn't face Nicholas.
Nicholas.
So do you think
She's a big baby.
death is allowing her to live as a ghost?
I don't think Death had the stones to take her. I don't think she had the stones to end her. And Agatha didn't want to meet Nicholas. She wasn't ready for that. And so I think that was kind of it. So she's kind of in this limbo.
Yeah, my heart broke when when during that scene, at the end where he puts the names in the basement, Agatha's basement, and and she finally admits to Billy that she can't face Nicholas, and then she goes and she turns around and says, "It's when you say things like that make me remind, like that's what makes me remind remind me of him." Like that just dang near tore my heart out and just ruined me. Like I thought that scene was done really well.
It makes so much more sense, why she was more attached to Billy, because Billy doesn't have his mom, and he's this up and coming witch essentially, and she doesn't have a son, but she wanted a son. She had a son. He was taken early. So like meeting, and I mean, it just makes so much more sense for her to get attached.
Yeah.
I could also see it was kind of unsaid, but I could see her staying for Billy. Not necessarily that she was scared of Nicholas or scared of meeting Nicholas and having to kind of confront that situation, but that Billy needs her help. She saved him once, and now Billy needs her help to, do whatever he needs to do. So even though she's dead, she's not ready to move on yet because he still needs her.
Interesting.
Yeah. I did pick out a new least favorite character, actually. It's Wanda. All she did was lay there next to the creek. She didn't do anything. Didn't have any lines.
I do like the little things they added in, though, like as they're kind of telling you about her dead body. It's like, oh, yeah, she's been crushed by something.
Yeah,
and
you can
like
see her fingers.
Yeah, just hinting at, obviously this is Wanda. Like it wasn't hard to draw that conclusion, but they're just hinting at what happened at the end of Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I like the little flash of the hex disappearing too. I don't like you guys caught that where they're showing Westview outside of Westview and like the red bubble dissipates, and that's kind of I think that was during the flashback episode for William, but yeah. All right, you guys good?
I'm good.
I'm good.
That was
you
great.
Good, Gunner?
That was great. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Listeners, are you good? Let us know at thecallguyspodcast at gmail.com. What do you guys think of this episode? What do you guys think of this show? Did you watch it? Did you not watch it? Are you done with the MCU?
Was it worthy?
I don't think you should be done. I think you should give this a one go and let us know what you think.
Was it worthy of Halloween? I mean, it kind of ended around that time. Would you watch it for Halloween? Would you go that far?
No, I don't think it's that Halloweeny to me.
Halloweeny? Is
Correct.
WandaVision Halloweeny?
No.
But Hubie Halloween
is Halloween. Hubert is Halloween.
Nick, appreciate you coming on, hanging out, talking about everything from swimming to running to WandaVision to Agatha to Scooby-Doo to Lord of the Rings. What else did we talk about? Minecraft.
I'm a plethora of knowledge. Not all of it is correct, but I'm a plethora.
Colton, you got anything to say? I know you guys will probably be in a party chat later, so I'm just kidding. Yelling at each other.
Nick, my brother, I appreciate you making time for us tonight. I know you're getting ready to ramp up for your busy season. So as always, I appreciate you and glad we could get on camera and record. Again, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate you, man.
That was really
It's always
nice.
great being here, guys. It's always great being here.
Yeah. We'll have you back sometime. I don't know what for. We'll figure it out. So we do.
Maybe never. Who knows?
And the listeners will cry. There will be an outcry.
Won't be
Yeah.
the first time.
Many emails coming through. When's Nick coming back? Bring him back. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Call Guys podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also watch us on YouTube. Just search for the Call Guys podcast or click the link in the show notes to take you right to our page where you can watch us every single Monday. And then you can always check us out on your social medias, Facebook, facebook.com/thecallguyspod, Instagram at the Call Guys, and TikTok at the Call Guys Podcast. And as we always say, send us an email, thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know when you want Nick to come back, what you want us to talk about. Maybe he should come up and visit and we can record an episode or something all together. That'd be kind of fun. As he goes, I'm good. We don't want to do that. But yeah, send us an email, callguyspodcast@gmail.com. And then when you are done listening to us, go check out goldenmojoent.com, where you can check out all of the merch and all the other podcasts under the Golden Mojo Entertainment Network of podcasts. And also check out Perfectly Picked Games at perfectlypickedgames.com, where you can use code Golden Mojo for 20% off your order at checkout. Perfectlypickedgames.com. Golden.
Love you, brothers.
Love you, brothers. All right. For all those out there in podcast land, see you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Down,
See ya.
Down the road. Down the witch's road.
road.
The Call Guys.
Which version did you like better? Nicholas's, the opening scene, or the rock rendition? Which one was the best?
Oh, man.
Opening scene.
Yeah, I think you got to go with opening scene.
I didn't mind the rock rendition one. And I mean, I liked them all, but I think the opening scene.
Yeah, you're drawing hairs there.
Straws.
Same
Drawing
thing.
hairs.
We're pulling stuff.
Pulling.
It's tight.
Yeah.
Toy like a toyga.
Toy.
What about you, Nick? What do you think?
The original. I like the original better.
Yeah.
Nicholas.
I think each version has its own meaning and symbolism.
Yeah,
Each version of the song, because you got the first one, it's about Agatha doing the Agatha thing, and then during the rock rendition, it's about a protection spell.
Mhm.
And then when you find out what it's about, it's just Billy just,
Riff.
making a song with him and his mom.
Yeah, just walking down the road.
Yeah. Living
Yeah.
life.
I really like that too. Like they're literally walking down a road and he's just making a song about what they're doing
Yeah.
right there. Just
And then it
then and
becomes
there.
It probably should have been. He probably could living the life I was born to live. Giving it all I got to give.